Hello guys, so welcome to a new section. And in this section it's going to be really awesome because we are going to start with Empire. And Empire is basically a C2. It could be under C2. It is a command and control center basically. And from Empire is basically a post-exploitation framework. Post-exploitation meaning that it is after you have gotten access to the system, and it includes a pure PowerShell Windows agent and compatibility with Python 3, which is really awesome. And this is the new Empire. There is a old Empire that they don't support anymore, and it was written in Python 2, and you are going to run with a lot of issues if you're running the old Empire. So make sure that you install this Empire that I'm going to be using. Like I said, it's a post exploitation, meaning that you already got access to one of the machines, but you want to do more with that machine, right? You want to go hop to another machine and potentially take over the entire domain by getting domain admin or enterprise admin credentials, and by taking over the domain controllers and all the domains and all the forests and everything. So this is what we're going to be using, Empire. And make sure that you download this one over here. And the way that you download it is by running this command over here, the sudo apt install PowerShell -empire. And then to run it, you need to run it as a root. If you don't run it as a root, it won't work. So make sure that you run it as a root. So here are the two commands that you need to run, and I'm going to add that in the video description so you can go ahead and download it and install it. I am not going to be doing that because it's only two commands that you need to run. So therefore I'm just going to give you with the link and just the commands that so you can run it yourself. All right. So like I said, this is a post-exploitation. I already show you a way to gather or to get credentials and a way to, how to exploit a system basically. I give you a little bit of that because this Active Directory pen testing is more on post-exploitation rather than the pre-exploitation, right? I want to focus more on how to exploit Active Directory, post-exploitation Active Directories, not before. So with that being said, I'm talking too much. Let's go ahead and start. And like I said, I already installed this, so I'm not going to install it. I'm going to just run this command to start Empire. And that's going to ask me for your root password, and there we go. So that's going to start Empire. Really nice. There we go. So this is Python. The version that I'm going to be using is 3.8.2, and it is by the BC Security fork. What they did was they took over the Empire because they stopped development on it, and they just took it over, and they just kept the development of this nice tool. So as you can see right now, there are 319 modules currently loaded. We have no listeners and no agents. So the listener is basically, like you said, like it says right here, it's just a listener. So you can set up listeners in here to listen for a reverse shell that you can throw. And after you get a reverse shell, what happens is that you're going to have agents. And agents are connections that you have with multiple computers. You can have a bunch of computers. You can have a bunch of agents running in Empire, and you can go between those agents and exploiting those agents, which is really nice to do. So the first command that I want to go over is the help command. If you do the help command, you can see the commands that you can run. Agents, if you want to jump to the agents menu, you can do that. Just type in agents. You can see that we have no agents over here. If you type help under the agents, you can see that you are going to get different other different commands over here, like like outer run. You can go back if you want to go back to the main menu. Clear, you can clear one or more agents tasking, creds, displaying the return credentials from the database. Exit, kill date. You can do a kill date on an agent. So if with an agent you want to be done by the end of the day, you can just put the date over here, and that's going to kill the agent. Listener. So from agents you can jump to the listener as well, but also you can do use listener. So there's a lot of stuff that you can run from here, but we want to go ahead and go back, and to go back to the main menu, help, so we can see what else we have. We have agents. What we're really interested in right now is to the listener. So if you go to the listener, this is where you set up your listeners. If you do help from here, you can see that you can go jump to the agents menu if you want to, back again to go back to the main menu, disable, delete, enable. You can exit and fire from here. You can display more help and stuff like that. But the other command that you can run over here is info. If you do info, you can see that we don't have anything in here because we don't have any listeners. Now if you use the use listener, and if you do tap two or three times, you are going to see what you can use listener. So use listener basically lets you pick for one of these listeners. So if you want to listen for interpreter, HTTP, OneDrive, redirector, HTTP comp, HTTP foreign, DBX. So there's different listeners that you can use. So whenever you use the use listener, we are going to set up a listener. The one that we are going to be focusing on the most is going to be the HTTP listener. All right. Awesome. So let's go ahead and go back. You don't want to type exit. You want to do back. If you go to the help over here, you can see that we have the use stager. So if you could use a stager, let's go ahead and do that again, and then tap it a couple times. So for use stager, what this would do is it would create a file or a payload for you, and you can see all the payload that you can have. So when you do use the use stager, right, what you would do first is you would start a listener. After that, you want to use the use stager. If you want to use a stager, you don't have to use a stager. But if you want to use a stager, you can have this all the stagers are the ones that are available to you. You can see that this is multi, meaning that multi is for different platforms. OS X meaning that is for a Mac. Windows is for Windows, and all the Windows. And so the multi one, the bash, is basically for Linux. That's what they are for. So here are all the stagers. We are going to be focusing on Windows since we are exploiting the Active Directory pen testing. And like I said before, if you want it, you don't have to use a stager. The stager is basically going to create a file payload, and then you want to execute that payload, and then that payload is going to be sending it to the listener. So that's how it works. But you don't have to do that. I'm going to show you another way for you not to use the stager. But if you want to use a stager, or if you need to use a stager, you can always do that. Okay. And then we have the use module. So the use module, as you can see, there's a lot of modules in here. You can see there's a Python situational awareness network active directory. Basically, it's just the get domain controllers. You can see the get file servers, get group members. So there's a lot of stuff that you can use, but you will use these modules is basically after you have a connection, right? After you have an agent. When you interact with an agent, then you want to use a module. So you can either do any situational awareness, if you want to do privilege escalation, if you want to do some persistent. This one is for, as you can see over here, you got to make sure, because some of them only runs on, like you can see over here, this one is only for OS X, meaning that it is for Mac. This is multi, which is probably going to be just for Linux mostly. You can see PowerShell. which you know that's going to work great with Windows because it is PowerShell. So you can see a lot of situational awareness for PowerShell. There's a lot of PowerShell. You can see that we have a power up, service stager, service user add. You can add a user, print daemon, Sherlock, sweet potato, tater, Watson, WinPeas, zero logo on as well. They have the GPP. So they have a lot of privilege escalation over here for Windows. Um, you can also have persistent in here, PowerShell, which means that it's going to work on Windows. There's a lot of management in here. You can enable RDP. You can get the domain SID, honey hash, log off. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You can invoke, basically this is lateral movement. If you want to invoke WMI, WMI debugger, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. And then we move to the juicy stuff, Mimikatz. So you can do LSA dump, you can do Mimi tokens, you can do pass the hash, purge those tokens, meaning that deleting those tokens. You can dump the SAM. You can do Kerberos roast. You can take a screenshot. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here for the modules, and we are going to be working with a lot of those modules. You can even do a Fox dump, a Chrome dump, Sharp Chromium. There's a lot of good stuff that you can use or that you can do with PowerShell. So that's what we are going to be focusing on. We are going to be using Empire. So I will see you on the next video, guys.